Yeah.
You have reduculous?
I do. Yeah, but I sell my eggs and that.
Okay, first things first. I did not, have not, and will not transport chicks home on my motorcycle. Do not be PETAing up my comment section with that. It is Thursday, March 20th. Happy Ostara if you celebrate. Happy Spring Equinox if you don't. And today's video is going to be a little bit of what I think you should know about getting chicks if that's not something you've done before, and maybe even if it is. I realize this is off topic for me, but it's that time of year. So let's get into it. So a little bit about chickens in general is that chickens, you're probably going to get them for eggs. Chickens lay eggs on roughly a 25-hour gestation period, which means that usually they lay a little later every day. They don't really much like to lay in the afternoon, so they will reset, take a day off, so to speak, and start again earlier. I realize that you're going to have your neighbor or somebody that tells you that they got 2 eggs a day out of their chickens. It's unlikely. And you shouldn't expect those kind of results. So how many chickens do you need? It will depend on how many eggs you think you can use. Right now I have 5 adult hens. They're all kind of older ladies, and I'm getting about 3 eggs a day. When they were younger, I got more like 4 or 5 eggs a day. Chickens do slow down on laying after a few years, but depending on your breed, should depend on to what degree. In my experience, the dual purpose breeds don't slow down as much. They lay more longer, as opposed to things like the Rhode Island Reds or the what you might see listed as a black star or a black sex link or a red sex link or a red comment, anything like that. They seem to not lay for as long. They lay really well for like 2 years. They're also, in my experience, a little more prone to ovarian issues like cancer. So, you want 3 eggs a day, you need 3 or 4 chickens. You want 6 eggs a day, you need 6 or 7 chickens, maybe 8. And that's just that. Depending on where you live, there might be laws about how many baby chicks you have to buy at a time. I live in Virginia, and we have to buy 4. That's unless you go to a local farmer. That would be great, but they'll probably be straight run, which means they'll be half males, half females. What you're looking for is pullets, which is young hens. You do not need a rooster to get eggs. If this statement confuses you, ask a woman. So pullets will be hens. Straight run is usually a mix, although I find that straight run in places like Tractor Supply lean more towards males because the hatcheries have already sold a bunch of the pullets out of that hatching, sent them off to whoever ordered them, and they're just dumping cockerels. So you want to go get a good laying breed, and you want to get pullets. You want to get as many as you think you need. There's a whole lot of information, they have to be under heat. And you can go to Tractor Supply and buy heat bulbs for them, but I find that those bulbs are usually excessive. You can get a good ceramic heat bulb from Walmart for $13 that might be a little bit more what the chicks would appreciate. Where you can get one of those big red heat bulbs and distance it further away from the chicks. I'm not really going to go into the care of the chicks once you get them. This is more for people who are just thinking, maybe I want chickens. If you do get chickens, so they have to be under heat for said I wasn't going to do this, but 6 to 8 weeks so that they can fledge out, and then they can just go outside. And once you put them outside, you need to put them in something that is dog proof. It also, depending on where you live, it probably needs to be raccoon proof, weasel proof. But I say dog proof because chicken wire will hold out raccoons and weasels, but not necessarily dogs. But I think that's about all I wanted to tell you. You should avoid the Cornish rock chickens if you see those. Those are meat chickens. And they don't even always live to adulthood because they grow so fast that their organs, their heart can't keep up with them, basically. I've raised those before, and I've had them die because I didn't butcher them in time. If you are looking at bantam chickens, those are almost always going to be straight run, but they're a lot of fun. Most of the bantam breeds are really interesting. You'll still get eggs, they'll just be smaller. Good luck with your chickens. So, just remember, there's one more thing I wanted to mention, is that you'll often have people with the very not helpful advice of, if your chickens stop laying, you can just put them in a stew pot. That is not untrue, it's just unlikely. Most people are not comfortable with slaughtering an animal that they raised. And if you are, cheers to you. Aside from that, though, once you've overcome that hurdle, old laying chickens, look, I've butchered hundreds of chickens. I got my technique down. I don't be tickling or anything. They're not worth the effort of butchering. You don't get really any quality meat out of a 5-year-old chicken that, I don't know. I'm not telling you what to do or not do, It just doesn't seem like the best advice to give somebody about chickens to me. If they're going to eat their chickens, they're going to do it. If they're not going to eat their chickens, they don't want to talk about it. Anyway, that's all I have for that subject for now. I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.